Hey guys, we are here a little bit early, just a little bit of a preview. I had my dog on my lap, so I figured it would be a good opportunity for Zoe to say hi to everybody. Say hi to Zoe. Yeah, she's so great. She showed off yesterday, but that was at the end of the stream. So she was here now, so I figured it'd be a good time to just say some hi. You know, these days and age, maybe we just need more puppies in our life, huh? Good girl. All right, guys. This is for those of you who don't skip the opening. Let's get started. Let's get started, shall we? Don't forget to like the stream, it's super important. Even if I didn't set up my my shot right. It's a strange day.
city you burn, I'm gonna build one high.
Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashrothi, and this is February 18th, YC128. Happy New Year! This is the Eve Universe Show! Welcome, 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 guys. How's it going? Settle on in, like the stream, please. No, it is a good day. So I woke up this morning and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to just work around my house today. Maybe I'll just take the day off or whatever. And then I looked at the news and I was like, well, I guess we're going live today. So here we are. We've got quite a bit to cover. We've got two New Eden news and, of course, the New Year's. You know, yesterday I was actually kind of criticizing myself afterwards because I was like, oh, I didn't even go into the fact that it was like the Lunar New Year or the Chinese New Year or whatever. And I was it was strange that CCP had not come out with a new pack for that yet. And yet, here we are, Lunar New Year packs plus gift. So we're going to look at this. We will do the New news today. I promise you. We've got two of them to cover. We're going to do them both. But first, we've got some Skinner stuff to cover and some packs and stuff. So let us jump straight into it. How's it going, guys? How you guys doing? All right, celebratory Capsuleers. It is time to set off your fireworks and exchange gifts to celebrate Lunar New Year. To mark the occasion, the Eve store is offering 2 packs with brand new skins designed by Timbre, Omega, Plex, and much more until the 4th of March. I am a few minutes early. That is correct. We are a few minutes early. If you go back to the beginning of the stream, you'll see that I showed off the puppy a little bit, but I got tired of waiting. Plus, we already had a lot of people waiting. So if there's a lot of people waiting ahead of time, I usually like to start a little bit early. But either way, free Lunar New Year crate. So this is new. So a gift has been left for you in the New Eden store. By the way, this is actually the reason why they had to do a restart of the server this morning. So obviously, if you're watching this now, it doesn't matter anymore. But originally, this couldn't be opened. Now it can. Inside your crate will be you'll find a festive firework. You'll find a festive firework. Is there only one? To help celebrate the season, along with Skinner components and 8 free Plex. I've been trying to figure out why it's 8. Can anybody have a guess as to why it's 8? Is there something about the new year, this new year? Is it the year of the horse, like the 8th piece in the cycle or something? I don't know. Either way, this gift is available to all who have played. 8 is a lucky number. I guess that's fair. Lucky 8 is just lucky in Chinese. That makes sense. Okay, yeah, okay, fair enough. This gift is available to all who played from 29th of January 2025 to 16th of February 2026, as long as your player account has had over 8 hours of playtime throughout the year. So this is when everybody gets to find out how many of their alts didn't log in for 8 hours over the course of the last year. But we do get the Malediction skin, this Skinner component, and of course the fireworks and the Plex. But one of the questions that I have with this whole set, which is not answered here, which is that in the rabbit one, the previous one that was given out, I don't know if it was last year or whatever, but when they did the rabbit skin, that skin has special effects when you kill somebody. There's no mention of that with this skin, so I don't actually know if that's true. So if somebody wants to sacrifice themselves to my malediction in like a cheap frigate or something, make your way to Dodixie, and we'll do that in a few minutes. All right. So then there's also the Noble Steed pack. I already checked. I think this one is. Let me double check. Yeah, so there's the Noble Steed pack, which is $88, and the Saddle Up pack, which is $15. So the Noble Steed pack comes with 1,500 Plex, so that's 3 months of Omega, which, so if you just bought that straight up with no discounts whatsoever, that would be $75, plus 648,000 SP. Anybody want to guess? 8 is a lucky number. Is 648 even luckier? Yeah, there are skins with kill effects. The rabbit skin also does change with the speed of the ship. That's true. Yeah, Not Arcambine Arisen. The Empyrean Outlaw skin has an effect when there's a kill, and the rabbit skins have effects when you get a kill. Like there's fireworks that shoot out the back. All right, so then you also get a Genius Cerebral Accelerator, 2 skill extractors, and the Retribution, Hecate, Sacrilege, Macarial, Revelation skins, and these skinner components, which we will look at in a few minutes. Overall, so this is an $88 pack. Again, I guess 8, lucky number. Ooh. I can't say that it's worth it just by itself. These skins are usually pretty good, and I'm honestly I'm interested in getting the although I already have the Crimson Harvest one for the Retribution, which is really good too. But the Hecate one, and even the Macarial one, is pretty good. And then for the cheaper one, for, what was it, $15, I think it was, you get 15 days of Omega, 120,000 SP, Specialist Boost, Cerebral Accelerator, Core Ship Operations Expert System 2, which is, I guess, fine, and just the Augurer, only the Augurer skin. So this one is $15, and then there's also Twitch drops, which right now, I believe, like the default, the first one that you get is just like the accelerator or the booster or whatever, but I assume they don't actually have very much information about it. Maybe they do? Yeah, right now, that first thing is the Halcyon R4 booster. Remember that this stuff takes a long time. It's like 4 hours per cycle or whatever, so this is a lot of streaming to watch. So if you want to get this Vedmak skin, you might as well start watching Twitch now. Make sure it's just, visible. You can even have it muted or whatever, but you got to get a certain amount of hours in order to get this. All right, so that is what is available. Let's take a look at these things. 648,000 SP is what they have, what is in the level 5 mastery pack. I guess I'm just further questioning, like, it seems like such a random number, right? 648, well, no, I don't. It must be there's just like the amount of seconds or the amount of SP that you would normally get in a period of time or something. I have no idea. Anywho, so let's jump into the game and look at some of this stuff. So we have, actually, hold on. I messed this up. Let me prepare something really quick. Hobo Leaks. Oh no, I already do have Hobo Leaks. Great. So we hop over to Hobo Leaks. We grab all of this. Close this. Hop into here. Open up my notepad. New note. 02/18/128, and paste. All right, great. So now we have all the stuff. And also, actually, we can start out by opening up the New Eden store. If you haven't picked it up already, just a reminder, you can get your 15,000 skill points for the week, too. So grab that while you're there, if you haven't already. Which is, today's Wednesday, right? Yeah. So I'm going to grab my Unbridled... No, not that one. I'm going to grab my Unbridled Glory pack. And let's check it out. Let's see what's in it. Redeem to current station. And I can just open the container here. So yeah, it's 8 plex. The limited skin, 200 fireworks, but of one type. Open container. I got my 8 plex. And Malediction skin. Icon isn't working yet. Good job, well done. And I have my Malediction ready to go. I think. I did. I just did it. There it is. That's one ugly skin. I mean, really? You think so? I think it's alright. It looks very similar to the rabbit skin. I think it's just... Isn't it the same thing as the rabbit skin, just with the horse on it instead? Yeah, it's got like flowers and stuff. That's pretty nice. I can understand why some people might not like it, but I can also see why people would like it. And the horse is there, of course. A horse is a horse. All right. My UI is being all wonderful since I changed my what screen it was on, which changed the resolution. Oh yeah, are you dissing the 90s flatter skin? Because if so, then get out. I'm just kidding. All right, so already we can see that the first particle effect isn't there. If anybody's ready for me to kill them, go ahead and just send Ash an invite if you happen to be in or near Dodixie Station, so I can shoot at you. But let's see. Yeah, one of the two particle effects that they have was like a trail. I guess I could undock. I could go get my Marshall and show it off, but because I have the other one for that. Okay, so the trail effect from the rabbit skin is not here. Also, if I remember correctly, the rabbit was like more of a hologram. So, not there either. So this is a much more simpler version of the skin, I think. And I assume that it's not that way because it's the free one. I assume that all of them are going to be that way. Oh, man. Why do I have a needlejack in my cargo? All right, well, if we get somebody to show up for me to kill, then we can test that part of it. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and look at the rest of the stuff. We have the Augurer one, which is this is the one for the $15 pack. You can really see the flowers a lot better on this one. Are the past skins available during this time? No. Next would be Retribution. Also does a pretty good job of showing it off. We have the Malediction, which we've already looked at. The Revelation Navy issue. Are they all Amar? Wait, are they all Amar? Am I having a crazy moment? Sacrilege? No, the Hecate. Also, wait, hold on. There's an Executor Navy issue one, but the Executor Navy issue one is not on either of the packs, nor is part of the Twitch drop. So this one here, the Executor Navy issue one, does not appear to be obtainable? Which sucks, because I actually really like the darker flower effect up here. But going back to the ones that are available, the Sacrilege. Okay, this one, they did a really good job with the placement on this one. Yeah, that looks clean. Putting the flowers down here and like just flat up here. I like that actually a lot. The Hecate, which is the one that I might consider going and buying. That looks so good. The Hecate is such a great skin to show off, or sorry, great ship to show off skins. But, and then, is that it? Oh no, Macarial. Okay, so now I can check to see if this is the same. It was definitely not. Wait, I thought... Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, I thought that the Stargazer did have flowers on it, but I guess not. I guess I was just totally crazy. Where did these flowers come from? I swear I've seen them before. Is this all new? Okay, fair enough. And of course the Vedmak, which is the one that you get for free for Twitch. Also looks pretty cool. I'm a bit disappointed if there's no effects on it. Oh, also, wait, hold on. There's a Typhoon Fleet issue. Again, this one is not currently, at least none of the things that we saw shows it as being available. It does change the lighting here a little bit. That becomes green lighting. And, well, let's just double check something real quick then. Is there anything like that in the Revelation one? We're looking for green lighting effects. I guess it actually changed. No, this one changes the lighting to more red, because this is yellow and then red. The Augurer. Yeah, I think it does. It just changes the lighting to being red instead of yellow. Why that makes the green on the one, I'm not 100% sure. It may be some interaction with the skin display or something. I'm not 100% sure. But we have those things. Now for the... We have Monumentous Churn. So let's go ahead and open up Skinner now. And we will use... Dragoon? Dragoon's nice and flat. And... Nope. If we check out what is the color? The color is Blazing Teal Metallic Limited. Okay, Blazing Teal Metallic. It looks like a dark thing. Oh, show only owned. I'm dumb. Blazing Teal. Let's pick a color that actually... Let's pick a thing that actually changes stuff. That's good. I like that, actually. Metallics look so good in this game anyways, and I'm actually just a huge nerd for teal. So I'm just going to say that, like, I like this. I don't know if you're going to like this, but I do, because I like teal. It was like my high school colors or something. I've always had, like, a thing for it. We also have... Monumentous Churn. Oh, that's the logo. Is that it? Is it only the 2 Skinner items? Let me double check. Blazing Teal, Monumentous Teal. Yeah. So it's just the 2. So now let's go for the pattern. Which is always the hard one for me to find. Are they alphabetical? Is there any... Nope. Is there any pattern at all? I don't understand what causes them to be here in a specific order. Which always makes looking for the next newest one hard. I'm sure you guys are always yelling at me like, oh, it's right there. Because there's so many of you looking in... Okay, here we go. All right. Hold on. I mean, I don't know... I don't know how, like... New Year's-y it is. It looks cool. It looks like a good pattern. You could scale it up, or you can rotate it, you can scale it up. Whoa, ho, ho, whoa, ho. What? My dog's losing her mind. Come on, what's going on? What? Is there somebody at the door? Oh, that's fair. That's fair. You can't see the pattern options with me in the way. That's true. All right, so, but this thing, and then if we, like, mirror it, we can do some cool stuff with it. Yeah. Definitely a cool pattern. a good one to pick up. I think, didn't we get one of those for free, though? What was this thing called? Monumentous Churn. Am I... Oh, Momentous. Yeah, everybody got one of these. So this is going to be probably pretty cheap, which unfortunately cuts into the value of it for anybody who is getting it for, like, paying the money for it. But I think that the big value out of the purchase packs is the skins themselves. Which, I mean, honestly, if the effects don't work on them, I'm not sure... I mean, like, it's just a normal... It's got a cool pattern on it, but it's basically just a normal skin at that point, right? So, yeah. Either way, there we go. That is this. We are going to jump into the New Eden news now, which is the main thing for the day, I think. Let me double check. It's the reason why you guys are all here, right? Nobody's here for the Skinner stuff, let's be honest. Maybe like 2 people, but all right. We are going to do it now. Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and it is your New Eden news, and we have a double set for you today. 2 pieces of news that go together in order to set up the presidential election, the big thing that is going on right now. When we last paid attention, there was the impeachment of President Celis Agard midway through her, well, not midway through her presidential tenure, because she had delayed the election for just about a year prior to her being impeached. And funny enough, she wasn't even impeached for that reason. She was impeached for another reason. Apparently, she was covering up how big of a problem the Gallente was having with rogue drones through the rogue drone Homefront event, which, you know, was how she got impeached. But now we got one piece of news. As of the live recording, this was last week, and then we had another piece of news today. The elections are basically ramping up. So let's jump into it. Minmatar increased military budget as Gallente governor courts robotic controversy. Republic military spending puts pressure on Amar Empire. The Minmatar Tribal Assembly has voted to allocate to increase funds to the Republic military. The decision follows a recent influx of resources from Thucker-led phase field operations in the Great Wildlands. The Great Wildlands have offered a Republic unique access to nullsec occurrences of phase fields, while other major factions have only been able to reap the benefits of lowsec instances. The Thucker tribe, who control the Great Wildlands, are members of the Minmatar Republic and have shared this bounty with fellow Matari. The Thucker vote for further Republic military support was uncharacteristic for the tribe's chief Inar Abul, who is known for his desire to maintain Thucker independence. Thucker chief Inar Abul told reporters, quote, there has been a growing influence from criminal organizations in recent years, and we have felt that the impact on our caravans. I have come to see the benefits of some, albeit limited, cooperation with the fleet." End quote. News of the increase in military spending has led to unrest in the Amar Empire. House Sorum and Kador have submitted joint petition to the royal court requesting that the empire match the Minmatar's increased investment. House Khanid and Tashmerkon are thought to oppose the suggestion out of concern for economic stress it might place on the empire. Economic analysis from Hedion University has suggested that if the petition passes, it is the lowest echelons of Amar society that are likely to pay the price for this increased economic pressure. While the petition is still under consideration, Empress Kattis I herself has called the vote, quote, an unprovoked sign of aggression, end quote. Samatar Malatu Shakur has responded that, quote, the Republic intention to secure growth, dismissing what he calls baseless posturing. Gallente governor says restricting scientific exploration is not the solution to rogue drone emergence. The governor of Boyan's Alex Morio gave a controversial speech at the University of Cali on robotics and AI regulation. The speech, which has rapidly spread across the Gallente Federation, being replayed on hollow reels throughout the nation. According to the governor, our problem is not one of restraint, but understanding the limitations placed on the scientific community by political entities and corporate loyalists that have barred us from understanding the nature of rogue drones. Why do these spontaneous outbreaks of hostile intelligences occur? Why are the intelligences hostile at all? These are not questions that we can answer unless we are free to explore. Alex Morio, a radical believer in the importance of freedom and thought and self-determination, has managed to secure her political position due to overwhelming support from the scientific community, of which she was once a member. She served as an assembly member of her home on the planet of Yantey Prime, as well as the head of a union of scientific researchers within the University of Cali, before being elected governor of Boreanis. It's probably French. Her speech has been shared by both those who adore and despise Morio's position. Former President Agard has called it a reckless step too far, and Rising Star Senator Lucas Tenzin has said it was, quote, woefully naive, bordering on anti-human, end quote. Meanwhile, Creodon representatives have called the speech, quote, an important perspective worth listening to, and the leader of the Yantey Autonomous, Jonas Ivestara, releases a statement referring to the speech as, quote, one of the greatest minds exercising her most fundamental of rights. Morio's interest in determination in Yantey heritage may have seen many Yantey come out in support of her, despite the fact that her radical views may clash with the opinions of some of the Assembly's bigger parties. It seems that while she may not always have the backing of her people on her home planet, they are proud to claim her when facing the rest of the Federation. When asked if she would support the demilitarization of Yantey, Morio responded, quote, that is for the people of Yantey to decide, no one else. News in brief. Federation administration prepares to announce details of upcoming election. CEP representatives meet with JITA executives over administrative funds. Tash Mercon celebrates first anniversary of their victory over drifters. FIO vows to continue managing rogue drone emergencies with Senate oversight. And Upwell celebrates 10 years since First Citadel's research program with gala hosted in Paragon Stations in Jeddah. So this was the New Eden news as of February 13th. I'm actually going to jump directly to the next one, and then we'll do the analysis of both of them at the same time, because otherwise I'll just be like, oh, they'll probably follow up with this later, and they do. So we're just going to do both back to back and then do our analysis. So our New Eden news for February 18th, YC128, Rodin family kickstarts road to Gallente elections. Soraya Rodin announces presidential campaign. Rodin Shipyard's executive Soraya Rodin has announced her candidacy for the presidency alongside her grandfather, former president Jacques Rodin, during a rally held on Gallente Prime. The event was conducted from the legendary... Hold on, from the legendary... Let me start over. The event was conducted from the legendary Crystal Boulevard in Cali, where the Rodins put on an hour-long show filled with performances and speeches. Soraya Rodin is the first candidate to officially announce their intention to run. Much like her grandfather, when he ran, she does not currently hold any political office. In addition to her work as a senior executive, Soraya Rodin Shipyards is the acting head of the family's charitable foundation. Within these roles, she often lobbied the Gallente Senate for business-friendly changes and is a well-known figure around the halls of power. Jacques Rodin himself took this to the stage, introducing his granddaughter as, quote, a born leader, one of the closest advisors, and a great source of pride for all our family, end quote. Holding office from YC112 to YC122, the extremely wealthy, eccentric Jacques came to power after leading the charge against Executive Order 81042, which required private companies to give control of their manufacturing to the Federation war effort. Speaking today, Jacques also took the opportunity to attack some of the recent rhetoric surrounding welfare proposals, such as those backed by the rising Senate star Lucas Tenzin. According to the former president, quote, people need someone like Soraya who can see a path to the light ahead, not a hand to hold while they cower in darkness. slight typos got fixed. That's fine. So Soraya arrived on stage to chants of Gallente strength, a reference to her campaign slogan, a return to strength. Her speech focused on an appeal to individual freedom and corporate prosperity. Roden criticized a recent, quote, backlash against corporate excellence in favor of promoting weakness. While Roden, end quote, while Roden was quick to condemn the former President Agard, she called it a quote, a problem of federal interference, not industrial integrity. Private innovators are the key to dominance over the Caldari threat, end quote. Trillions are believed to have turned in to watch the live holocast, which is sponsored by Quaife. Soraya was also joined on stage by her cousin and current CEO of Roden Shipyards, Miliois Roden. Miliois said of her cousin, quote, no one cares more deeply about the future of this great nation. She has always been able to stoke the fires of ambition in everyone she speaks with, and I cannot wait to see her do it for the same for all Gallente, end quote. The Progressive Party, which has plummeted in the polls since Agard's impeachment, is believed to have reached out to Soraya Roden. Jacobs Roden's defeated the Progressives as an independent when he claimed election victory in YC112, but with the party keen to find a new direction, they may just be ready to throw their support behind the latest scion of his legacy. News in brief. Time for an event for... I hope not. We'll talk about that. News in brief. Gallente militia commanders released joint statement of support for, quote, swift and complete restoration of the democratic process. Leaked Caldari reports shows anomalies between revenues received by state versus taxes charged. Conflict on the rise in drone regions as skirmishes break out between Capsuleers. Amar Empire increases military levies on Tashmerkon and Kador. Multi-year investigation into the death of former Interbus CEO Hakuka Peruka ends inconclusively. Large-scale Capsuleers battle in Atioth takes place during raging plasma storm. Keepstar belonging to Test Alliance please ignore, destroyed in Atioth. Starkmanir tribal chief opens exhibit to tribe artistic legacy in Ileti Plains Mobile Museum. RM Ardashapur publishes Book of Interpretations of the Scriptures of Ginok I. Intaki Autonomous announced their plan to run as an autonomous party in Federation-wide elections. Alleged Intaki Syndicate members arrested by Jita security forces to face trial. Mimitar Fleet Alliance announces their return to LOSEC. That is your New Eden news for February 18th, YC128, and February 13th, YC128. Now for some analysis. We're going to jump straight over to the first one, and we see here, this is kind of important because, like, so CCP is setting up, they've already said that this is going to be a phase where the empires become like the major actors of the lore and the story, right? The last few years has been very much dominated by the Deathless and the Other and the not the Other, but the Drifters and the SSCT and these other major organizations that are not the empires, kind of making their moves and doing stuff. And the empires have been largely in reactionary mode. And CCP has indicated that starting this year, for the next year and a half or so, we are going to have the empires make a much more stronger drive in what is going on within New Eden, especially with the expansion coming in the summer, which will introduce military campaigns, which is kind of an expansion of faction warfare as we know it. So that's what we know is coming, and what this is kind of setting stuff up to. Also, Ash, did you see the stuff Okami said in Oz report? I did see some of that stuff. I haven't sat down and watched the entire thing. I've been thinking about doing that on stream or not. Let me know if you guys, actually, down below in the comments, or hit me up in Discord if that's actually, because you're not the only person to have brought this up to me. But we'll probably dig into that another time. But one of the things I do want to point out here, as a player of the game, one of my biggest concerns is that I know that there's been a lot of turnover or whatever in the lore team. They have kind of a new leadership and a new, whatever. And so, as a person who covers the lore mostly by saying, okay, well, to understand what happens today, we must first start in 2008. That's kind of my shtick. Obviously I have a concern that there would be continuity, right? That if there's new people, are they going to properly understand everything that's actually going on, or are we going to get some retconish continuity errors or not? And I don't know if this is one of them yet, but it definitely is one of those concerning moments because, this stress on the Great Wildlands and how good of a thing this has been for the Thucker, which we see this over and over again in the lore, right? Or in the news recently with the fractures showing up. And we see even here, it says Thucker nomads prosper as rapid response doctrines enable faith field exploitation. In this scope video, we see the headline, Thucker caravans harvest phase fields in Great Wildlands, boosting Republic economy. With the president impeached one, we have, don't we have more? Maybe not. No, this is just freaking out. But we also have like older stuff with the Mimitar back in YC125, so 2.5 years ago now, when everybody was kind of coming out with their new production capabilities. This is around the time of Homefronts happening. The very thing that got President Agard, kicked out, the Automated Industry for Democracy, which is attached to her other legislation, which was when she federalized the industry of the Gallente. Like, that was all. This has obviously been really bad for her. It got her impeached. But the Mimitar's version of this effort, the Itinerant Forge, has gone on mostly uncontested. So we can see that here they've announced this Itinerant Forge project. Midgular says that the Itinerant Forge is a new industrial doctrine using modular machinery that can quickly assemble and be disassembled, allowing us to deploy our best technologies to any colony. Our tribes have worked together to make the traveling infrastructure caravans of industrial ships that will move from planet to planet, ensuring that we'll build whatever we need, wherever we need it. So they built this significant infrastructure for their own industrial capabilities. And unlike the Gallente's effort, this one has not been contested or done poorly. In fact, there's only a few instances of it even coming up after this point. One of which is, where is it? Industrial output of Mimitar Republic projected to rise at significantly higher rate due to Itinerant Forge project. And this is from like a couple days after the announcement. So, and by and large, the Itinerant Forge project has kind of faded into the background, or at least has not been making large news. So, but when we combine that with this stuff, we can see that the Republic, this is the Republic Ascendant, which is something that has basically never happened in the lore, right? Like the story so far has been that, like, overall, with the different empires and where they're at, the Mimitar are very much often shown as like the weakest one, right? They're a fledgling empire compared to the other three, and like the entirety of the Empyrean Age, like the catalyst of the Empyrean Age, was the idea that like the Mimitar Republic was so poor at actually like providing governance for their own people that a star system, oh no, the name fell out of my head. It starts with S. Skarkon, like, rejected the Mimitar and joined the Angels because the Mimitar weren't doing enough. So like there's this, the Mimitar have always been in kind of this economic or military weak position, although like everybody's been struggling, right? The Caldari have had a really rough time economically. The Gallente, of course, has been going through some stuff, especially with the impeachment of the president. But the Republic, has been kind of stable, but now is doing really well, right? They have a massive industrial effort that has been successful, and now they have the resources they need to do pretty much whatever they want. It's enough of a thing that it's causing the Amar to kind of get spooked out, right? Which is kind of an interesting idea. So we're seeing where we're going with all of this, because the presidential election is only one piece to this puzzle. You know, obviously the other empires are going to be doing their own things, and the Minmatar have been low-key getting themselves in a really strong position. They managed to convince the Caldari to reject their former ally, the Amar. They've become more independent from the Gallente. They now have lots of resources, and they also have this better industrial program that they can deploy. And honestly, a lot of the disagreements, the internal squabbles within the clans have been by and large kind of shore up, right? Like, there was some criticism by Midgillar of Akasa Midgillar, who is I think she's the daughter of Karen Midgillar, who is the former leader of the Minmatar that Malatu Shakur managed to get kicked out when he took power in the Empyrean Age book. So, her daughter is now the head of the Verrokio tribe, and she was becoming critical of Malatu Shakur. But after this, they've seemed to be kind of, I'm not going to go with friends, but like, she's been significantly less critical and more supportive of the Shakur regime, as it were. So we're seeing a lot of like agreements within the Minmatar, where they're usually a little bit fractured within. Wait, what? Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I read this wrong. You're right. Midgillar's the Sebister chief. Verrokio chief. The Verrokio chief is this name, who I'm not going to try to read. What the hell happened to my phone? Why is my phone exploding? No good reason. Got it. All right. So, this is very interesting for the Minmatar. Why did I bring up that whole thing about the lore and continuity then? Because the problem with this is that, like, this whole paragraph suggests that, oh, look, the Minmatar Republic have control over nullsec space, right, through the Great Wildlands. The Great Wildlands is an area that's owned by the Thucker, or at least part of it. And the Thucker is one of the tribes of the Minmatar, but they've always been kind of a little bit on the outskirts. Now, a few years back, the Thucker did like formally rejoin the Republic, as it were, but they've always kind of done their own thing. They're highly nomadic. Not all of the Thucker tribe does the same thing. So the idea is that, like, well, and there has been some tension, right? Because, for instance, one of the Thucker clans is the Harada Oki, who are the Thucker who are working with the Deathless. So there's been, the Thucker are widely known for being part of criminal activity, and they've been tied to a lot of different things. Basically, anything involving smuggling or wormholes, the Thucker will be there. But they have kind of, especially Inar Abul, has been pretty strong in trying to like rebuild connections with the Republic, especially when the Harada Oki joined the Deathless. There has been some, like, it added some tension, but it seems that Abul has been focused on kind of making sure that it's like, hashtag not all Thucker, right? So, there was some stuff with the Republic, like the during their anniversary and stuff. But either way, the point is that the Republic are not the only people that own nullsec, guys. This is the part that concerns me. If we go back into the game, we can see that if we go into the map, we can go to security status, so we can see like all this stuff is nullsec, and we can go to the Great Wildlands, right? Here's Great Wildlands. Cool. And we can see sovereignty, all factions and alliances. Yeah, we can see that this is all Thucker, right? So this nullsec area is all owned by the Thucker. That's what they're talking about. That's cool. But the problem is that there's this nullsec area. If we can... I should have favorited them both. Yeah, if we go to this nullsec area over here, the Syndicate, what we'll see is... Oh, wait, hold on. There is Caldari in Syndicate. So wait, why? What's going on here? Is that a mistake? I actually don't think so. I think that the problem here is that, like, so the idea is that phase fields appear randomly in low-sec and null-sec. I would guess that if we went back and tracked all of the phase fields in history, none of them landed in this particular constellation. There is a significant difference between owning a region, like this Great Wildlands, that's a lot of systems, versus owning only one constellation. So technically speaking, I would argue that this is correct, but it does like raise a red flag of like, well, I mean, they're not the only ones that have been able to, they're not the only ones that own nullsec. So just something to keep in mind, but kind of a minor point here. Now, we also see, again, like factions, cool. In the Empire, we have the different houses, right? So House Khanid is almost the rebellious house. You know, they're the, King Khanid. He famously rejected the right of Shathal Sin like 200 years ago, and so made his own like kingdom. But then that they have been brought back in 2015 or whatever during the last Amarian, like when Jamil was assassinated by the Drifters, and they had to pick a new emperor. They did allow King Khanid to come back and basically get a second shot at becoming emperor. He lost that one too to Katis Tashmerkon, and they did absolutely make sure that he had to commit Shathal Sin, i.e. get destroyed by orbital laser fire. And but there is some suspicions about the king, like the replacement, the heir being a clone. Don't worry about it. The point is that Khanid is like kind of one of the most... The Khanid would be like the Thucker of the Amar houses. And Tashmerkon is interesting here because Tashmerkon is, of course, the Empress's house. And so, we see historically that Katis Tashmerkon, especially during the invasions, restructured how the Empire built its navy, putting a lot more focus on the individual houses to own their own territories. And when she did that, she made sure that Tashmerkon, and I can't remember the other group, ended up having, I thought it was Khador, had the least amount of like territory to hold on to, the least amount of resources to uphold. And so she basically kind of put extra pressure on her political enemies and extra support to her own side, kind of low key. That's not the only thing she did in that way, but that was one example of it. So here, with this funding, I find it interesting that Tashmerkon, her own house, oh no, actually, I'm not surprised by this. So Khanid and Tashmerkon are opposing this due to economic stress. Khanid also could be having a hard time right now because if anybody, like with the separation of the Caldari and the Amar, they used to be very, very tight allies, but thanks to the Mimitar exposing the Amar using Edencom to spy on Caldari, that pretty much broke the alliances between the Caldari and the Amar. And the strongest alliances between the Caldari and the Amar were with Khanid and Tashmerkon. So those were the ones that would be the most like damaged by the friendship between the two empires kind of falling apart. Whereas House Sorum is the former house, or is the house of the former Empress Jamil Sorum, and also one of the most military and traditional ones. And Khador is like the never broken, never... Oh wait, am I right? Now I'm confused. No, Urium Khador. So Khador, the previous era of Khador was the group that was the guy who attacked the Gallente years back. So they've been kind of on the back foot too. So it makes sense that House Sorum and Kador, who I believe were the ones that were had pressure put on them, would be the ones asking for increased investment by the royal court, with Khanid and Tashmerkon being the ones that oppose the suggestion. Now we can see in today's news, though, Amar Empire increases military levies on Tashmerkon and Kador. Increases military levies. If I understand how this works, then that means that they agreed to put extra money, or to effectively charge to tax, for lack of a better word, Tashmerkon and Kador more, which we can see that Kador was one of the groups that actually asked for more money, and of course Tashmerkon being Katiss's house. Now, Kattiss the Tashmerkon household is one of the most wealthy households in the Amar. So this is going to be something to pay attention to, because I find it interesting that there's not quite an alignment between who got levied and who was asking for it, right? Sorum and Kador ask for it, Khanid and Tashmerkon fight against it, whereas Kador and Tashmerkon, so one from each group, manages to have the military levies imposed upon them. So it does look like everybody's starting to move their pieces to deal with stuff. Now, as far as the Gallente elections, well, at the very least, we no longer have to call the elections, or we no longer have to call the what's it called? Those home fronts. I no longer get to call those illegal home fronts, because they do say that the FIO vows to continue managing rogue drone emergencies with Senate oversight. So that means that the drone, or the emergency aid home front for the Gallente is not invalidated, which was something that we were watching pretty closely to see whether or not this was going to influence which home fronts exist. So they've kind of set that up to make it so that they don't need to make that change per se. But the interesting thing here is, hold on, actually, I need to look something up real quick. If we, hold on. This is going to take a while to find, I think, because Kali gets mentioned a lot. University, right? It'd be the University of Kali. University Kali raid? Can I search like that? Is this gonna work? No? Nah, this is different. Where is it? Nope, that's the one we were just looking at. There is a point in time that I probably should have looked up ahead of time. So there has been this talk about rogue drones and stuff, especially after the AID Act was passed, the Automation and Industry Act was passed, where the FIO raided the University of Kali. Man, I just saw it the other, not too long ago, but now. Grrr. Can I just type in rogue drones? This is why I set things up with like a million tabs before I get started sometimes. Did not have time to do all that today. Nope, I can't find it. If somebody can find it, let me know. Otherwise, there was a thing about the FIO started raiding, have been doing a lot of stuff when it comes to rogue drones with the University of Kali especially, but other dang it. This is just today's, right? Yep. Okay. Darn it. All right. Well, so like the FIO has low key been like doing a lot of study or like looking into, the Federal Intelligence Office has been doing a lot of looking into this whole road drone stuff already. So I do find it interesting that they are the ones specifically that are now managing road drone emergencies with Senate oversight. FIO is, of course, the Federation Intelligence Office. It is also where the Black Eagles are, which are the kind of the secret Black Ops CIA-esque organization led by Mentis Black. So that I feel like this is still going to be something to pay attention to, and what the FIO is getting up to. The FIO was also strangely involved with like the Ugali situation, if I remember correctly. There's something. I feel like there's a there, but there's not quite enough for us to know yet. But what we do see is we're starting to see a little bit about who is that's going to be running for office, right? So we're starting to see some names pick up. We have this Alex Morio, which I don't know if we've ever seen her before either. Let's double check. One of the news in brief was actually based on a forum post by the faction warfare militia people. Yes, correct. The thing about the militiamen vowing to secure the election, the Gallente, several Gallente RPers have announced that they are very, like, as soon as the election like started, when she was impeached and there was a new election being talked about, like they jumped on that real quick. So yeah, that's absolutely true. Why are these things popping up? I assume that these are just bad hits, right? Yeah. Yeah. Nothing there, nothing there. Hold on, if we put this in quotes, does this change anything? Yes. Okay, so this is the first time that she's ever been mentioned. So she's a new character being brought in. So that's something to pay attention to. What's interesting about her is that, like, so low-key, the thing that is really, really in focus when it comes to this election is Intaki itself, right? There's the rogue drone stuff and why she got impeached and all that stuff. That's a big deal. But Intaki is the big deal because, Intaki used to be part of the war zone and so has been fought over for a long time. The Intaki people are probably the most independent of all of the members of the Federation. The actual federal charter gives the Intaki a lot of extra privileges over, versus, like, say, the Manar, for their own independence. And so it was a really big deal when, in Uprising, Celis Agard took the extreme action of taking Intaki off of the war zone and making it into the headquarters for the Gallente faction warfare operation, right? And raised Intaki's security status from 0.4, I think it was, to 0.8. So that was an incredibly controversial move. There's been a lot of talking about that. And of course, there's a lot of people within the Intaki that were not happy about that. And so, we actually see a couple of people coming out of this. We have this person, the new person, 0.1 to 0.6. Was it 0.1 to 0.6? Okay, I'm sorry. You're right. Probably right. But so, like, she is Intaki, but they've kind of put her not necessarily like as like the Intaki candidate, right? Because we also see over here, we see here that the Intaki Autonomous announced plans to run as autonomous party in Federation-wide elections. So it seems like if she runs, which she may not. She may just be a supporter of it. Then she's going to possibly be running against a different Intaki person. So, like, what, you know, she may call for more restraint, whereas the Intaki autonomists will call for, you know, Intaki potentially even leaving the Federation. So that might be an interesting question to be, you know, dealt with. But also, you know, we have this, you know, we have, of course, Rodin's granddaughter running. Rodin has a long history with the, you know, he's very powerful. He's a Capsuleer. He was the president of the Federation during Templar 1. And he, I find it interesting because, like, I don't think she's ever been mentioned either. I was kind of joking around earlier that, like, this is the first confirmation of a Capsuleer with what? No, with a child. Now, obviously, Rodin could have had a kid. Yep, it's the first time she was ever mentioned too. So Rodin could have had a kid before he became a Capsuleer. We don't know for sure. But, you know, so rather than Rodin himself running, it's his granddaughter, which is fine. But it does bring up an interesting point, which is that there's two different kind of contention here, right? We have this Intaki lady versus the Intaki autonomists, which might be in contention with each other. But then we also see who else jumped in on this? Creodron. So we have a kind of a corporate corporate discussion, right? Creodron is the corporation within the Gallente that was founded by Old Man Devereaux, who is the guy who built the Old Man Stargate. He went on to create his own drone automation company, Creodron. So obviously Creodron will be very much on the side of, like, pro-drone, pro-automation technology. And of course, Rodin's Shipyards is another corporation within the Gallente Federation. And so there could be a being 3 generations in, likely before the advent of Capsuleer clones. Good point, Malak. But my point is that we're kind of setting up, like, a potential contention between Creodron and Rodin. However, what's kind of hard to pull all this apart is the fact that, like, if Rodin here doesn't state their place within or their position on the AID Act, which, remember, Automation and Industry in Democracy Act is the thing that has led to the increased rogue drones in Gallente space. It is also the thing that ultimately led to the president's impeachment. So they don't actually speak out directly towards that I see here. But I would assume that if they do, that would put them in direct contention with the University of Kali and Creodon. So we're going to have to pay attention to that as well. Also, we do see, speaking today, Jacques also took the opportunity to attack some of the recent rhetoric surrounding welfare proposals, such as those backed by rising Senator star Lucas Tenzin. Lucas Tenzin was the guy who, where is it? Evershore Senator Tenzin calls to revoke of AID Act amidst rising unemployment, and then also he is the one that ultimately did the impeaching, right? The trial was rushed through following an impassioned speech by Senator Lucas Tenzin. So we basically know that Tenzin is running for office, right? Following the publication of these findings, Senator Lucas Tenzin of Evershore calls for an immediate impeachment trial based on the misuse of the AID Act and the covering up of stuff Instead, Agard ordered the Federal Intelligence Office to hire Capsuleer aid in covering up these events. So yeah, the Aid Act, like the Federal Intelligence Office, were already tightly connected to this whole rogue drone issue. But we see also here we have Rodin Shipyards launches charitable campaign for victims of the Aid Act, and there was another one where he does an independent with no party affiliation called the a blow for justice long overdue. Former President Agard, long been a critic of the Aid Act, he's achieved soaring popularity in over every shore district after expanding welfare opportunities to those miners who lost their work as a result of increased automation. So the issue is, do we have a candidate from Raytheon Technologies or Northrop? Rodin is Raytheon. No, kind of. I don't know if I'd... Rodin is probably as close to Raytheon as we have, but it's hard to say for sure. But the point here is that, so Celis Agard's Aid Act automation caused massive unemployment. Celis Agard's original response to this is, well, that's fine. Those unemployed people can just join Upwell and become like clone workers. That'll be fine. And so now this Aid Act, like this unemployment that has come into the Federation has been this big point of contention. It's why he was able to get this pushed through, or why there was so much negative energy towards the Aid Act, in order to turn it from like, hey, instead of just revoking it, we're also going to impeach her and take, like whatever. We see that he started his own like attempts to give welfare, and then Rodin himself calls it, or herself? Where is it? I thought, yeah, sorry. Took the opportunity, speaking today, Jackass also took the opportunity to attack some of the recent rhetoric surrounding welfare proposals, such as those backed by Senate star Lucas Tenzin. And so the original, the elder Rodin says people need someone like Soraya who can see a path to light ahead, not a hand to hold while they cower in darkness. So basically, Rodin would much rather make sure everybody's nice and industrialized rather than give them welfare, which, I mean, fair enough, cool. So there's already going to be, we're starting to see where the points of contention in this election are going to be, right? Lucas Tenzin is probably one of the bigger like up-and-comers when it comes to this election. Rodin directly attacks them. There's this issue about rogue drones and Creodon, although they don't directly address that. And of course, what's interesting about this is that Rodin themselves, where was it? Rodin Shipyards launches charitable campaign for victims of the Aid Act. So Rodin is doing his own charity for the victims of the act, while criticizing like structured welfare programs. So that's, I guess, interesting. Where were we? They need to pull themselves up by their pod cables and find work. Yes. We'll hire them. Remember, Rodin is also the guy who, like, in the early days of Rodin's shipyard, did get help from the Serpentis to get his position, but I don't know if that's going to be important or not. So we have two critical issues to the election, one being the fate of the Intaki people and Intaki Prime, as well as what is going on with rogue drones, actually 3 things, I guess. So you've got Intaki, you've got rogue drones, and you've got the welfare programs, especially in Evershore. Those are going to be the 3. Those are kind of the 3 emerging things to deal with the election. Now, is any of this going to matter? Still don't know. Is there going to be an event? I don't know. Are we going to be allowed to vote? I sure as hell hope not. We're not Gallente citizens. Are we going to be able to influence the election in one way or another? We'll have to see. But this is where we're going. This is it's starting to ramp up. We still do not have any dates, though. Prepares to announce details. Never actually does announce details. But we can officially say that the Gallente presidential election cycle has fully begun. We may see other people throwing their hat in the ring soon, but we at least have 1 confirmed, and I think 2 probable contenders for the position. Is there anything else? I do think it's interesting. So here in this one, we see CEP representatives meet with JITA executives over administrative funds, and then that follows up directly with leaked Caldari reports shows anomalies between revenues received by the state versus taxes charged. This is something that has been kind of low-key simmering for a while. Ever since the JITA 4.4 reconstruction, the Guristas revealed a bunch of information about like malfeasance within the within economics. One of the big things was like the Caldari suffered the worst during the Triglavian invasions. They lost the most systems. They had the worst responses. And the accusations by Guristas and others was that the reason why this was because a lot of the funding for the military was actually being shunted off to members of the Mountain Faction? PKN. So the people that were doing JITA 4.4 and stuff. And so like this idea of like anomalies within the record keeping in Caldari like economics has been kind of this issue for a while. It's one of the reasons why Caldari state has had a lot of protests recently. So we'll see if this ends up bleeding into something important too. This one is just player stuff. This is fun. So during the events leading up to like Shadow Wars and stuff, when the Amarr built their transmuter on Turner, there was this big contention. Concord's at their weakest point, like ever, and there's this contention behind so the Amarr just deploy these stellar transmuters in Egmar, Vard, and Turner, and the Amarr try to block any effort to help out the people there, get them out, all that stuff, including. This brings Interbus into the focus. Interbus was a major group of Concord. Interbus manages all international trade or inter-empire, interstellar trade within the cluster. But as there was this they were arguing over whether or not Interbus should be allowed to help with rescue efforts in Turner. They were arguing about that at Concord when mysteriously the CEO of Interbus has a heart attack and dies, is quickly replaced by Alexander Ducassi, who's the current head of Interbus, who then immediately restructures Interbus to be Paragon and Evermore, and within a couple of days releases Iris, their artificial intelligence manager of the Paragon stations, which means that clearly they had Iris prepared. There's no way he could have in 3 or 4 a week, 3 or 4 days or a week or whatever, have all of that stuff ready to go if it wasn't already ready to go. So there's been this suspicion around what happened, how, as soon as the Amarr are mad at them, lo and behold, oh, look, a heart attack. Too bad. We can already replace him. We can already set things up the way that we want it to be, so on and so forth. And so this has been kind of a contention for a while. And now the investigation has ended inconclusively. So I find it fun that CCP even puts this note here, because it feels to me like there's a lot of little things in here that seem to be sprinkled in as a way of being hey, remember this point. This thing, again, it goes back to the idea of is the lore continuity going to be preserved? And I feel like some of this stuff does point out the fact that, like, yes, they have these things in mind, you know, that's good. Like, potentially even this is tied to back to the previous events and stuff. And then this is tied to what happened a couple years ago. And I feel like even this is tied to previous events, but I'm not 100% sure. There's been a lot of stuff about, very little said about Air and all this. Yes, Air is so happy to not be in the limelight. There has been a lot of focus in the Minmatar about archaeology and like restoration of cultural information, stuff. So this seems pretty cool. Also, as we just as was corrected earlier, right? Is it here? No, I don't know. The so Midular is Sebaster, right? So this would be, or no, that's Sebaster. Starkmanir. Wait, hold on. Starkmanir. Starkmanir is, Starkmanir is the lost tribe, right? So this is cool. So the Starkmanir was the lost tribe of the Minmatar. They're still rebuilding their cultural significance. So this is cool. I don't know. Has this been mentioned ever before? Yes. Okay. So I actually didn't know this. Matar's remote Trondahar Valley region. Yeah, here we go. Located around the Eneti Plains is near the Trondahar Valley region. This is obviously something that I'm going to have to pull apart. So that's a whole thing. For his part, Abel Jarek denies fleeing anywhere. Okay. I feel like this is tied to a bunch of other previous stuff. And then Ardishipur. Ardishipurs are traditionally like the most traditional of the Amar houses. Ginok the First is one of the original like leaders of the Amar faith. We can go. Deno Gainok was an Amar prophet and the first recorded leader of the Amar people following the collapse of the Eve Gate. So we're talking about, like, when they say this is interpretations of the scriptures of the earliest writings of what is now seen as the Amar Empire. I wonder if pirates will play any role in the new war campaigns. Are they functionally intertwined with the militias after all? We'll have to see, right? Like, they'll probably have reactions. We don't see I don't think we saw any mention of any pirate groups in any of this discussion so far, right? There was nothing, no Serpentis, no Garistus. It's interesting, though, because, like I said, Rodin it was sort of tied to Garistus, and of course, the administrative fund stuff was tied to the Garistus, and yet they're completely silent about all of it, which I don't know what to read into that. Then we have Intaki Autonomous. We know the Intaki Autonomous are trying to shake things up, although we haven't seen who's going to be the representative of the Autonomous Party yet. We do know that what's his name, the old enemy of Agard, whose name I've already forgotten. Suvio Belleron, that's it. He was associated with the Intaki, but I don't think he was Autonomous Party. We'll have to look into that more, too. And then alleged Intaki Syndicate member arrested by JITA security forces face trial. So this happened earlier? This is also one that I feel like this happened and we paid attention, like we saw it, but we moved on? Wasn't there arrests in Jita recently? Not that one. Not that one. Not Leopold. I'm not talking about Leopold. Wait. Upwell celebrates first years of... yeah, okay, this is a celebration, Jita. What is the Intaki... so it is worth noting, so the Intaki Syndicate does have... No. Is this saying... This is not saying that they got arrested today. This is saying that the ones that got arrested face trial, which implies to me that they were arrested earlier. What's interesting about this is, so we're looking at the anomalies in the economics or the states and taxes with the Intaki, and as we mentioned earlier, the Intaki Syndicate actually gifted the Caldari that territory within the Intaki, within the Syndicate constellation. Hold on. So they do have strong connections now. Caldari State solidifies presence in Syndicate with 3 Navy stations. Caldari State forces establish new protectorate in the Syndicate constellation. Blah, blah, blah. Transfer to Caldari State sovereignty. We see Caldari forces have taken full control of the constellation of DS Tech M4Q, according to reports within the Syndicate region. It is in apparent agreement with the Intaki Syndicate following an emergency update to Concord Assembly. Caldari forces executed this operation with the full cooperation of the Intaki Syndicate. On behalf of the Chief Executive Panel, I have signed a treaty of protection with the Intaki Syndicate and negotiated for the wise partnership of Governor Sylphid and Diabel of Poidat. The Caldari State undertakes the securing the ongoing independence of the station owners and system governors of the Intaki Syndicate, in return for which we've been granted colonial rights. So yeah, they just said, we can have territory and we're just going to guard them. So it's interesting that the Intaki Syndicate got some people arrested in Jita, when there are partnerships right now between the two. If anything, more low sec will push Jita even more, like what happened with the Mar market after Niarja was gone. I don't agree with that. Well, like the Niarja going down helped Dodixie, and actually in a lot that would be an interesting thing to pay attention to, is to see how the fall of Niarja impacted the trade volume of Amar. And Gallente. Oh shoot, there was a thing about that. We saw a chart for that. But the point is that CCP Okami on the Oz show definitely, look, any of you guys who feel warm and fuzzy about your stability of HiSec right now and all of its trade routes and all of the interconnections between the different empires, you may want to get yourself a little security blankie, because it's spooky. This reminds me, actually, like I said, I haven't actually watched the full Oz thing, but I have heard some notes from it. But people were talking about how, like, CCP Okami was talking about, like, shifts in like things like HiSec, right? And it reminded me of before the invasion, Chapter 3 happened, during the Invasion World Tour, Hilmar was talking about how the world was too static and how they're going to shake things up, even if that means taking away belts or, you know, whatever, or even stars. And nobody took it seriously. And everybody kind of like mocked me for pointing it out or whatever. But then the Invasions Chapter 3 happened, and lo and behold, we started taking away stars. So this is definitely, like, I would not brush aside these accusations. Your security of HiSec is definitely in question. Just Throwing it out there. And then, of course, Mimitar Fleet Alliance player-built stuff, so that's fine. I really want to know more about this Intaki getting arrested. I'm going to have to go back. We're just going to have to go back for the last year and do a whole episode about kind of some of the fallout from this stuff. But for now, I think that's all of my analysis for this. Is there anything else I missed? I think we're just going to have to see where things go from here. But looks like things are happening. You know, it's not happening. Singularity. It's been 12 days since they said it was coming next week. But either way, that's it for today's analysis. I know it's a little bit scattered today because this is all breaking news stuff and we're trying to piece everything together. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so that way when we go back through all of this stuff and dig through it a little bit more, you will be there when we pull it all apart, and of course when the elections happen as well. Also, make sure to join the Discord. We discuss EVE Online and other games and stuff like that. You can come on, hang out, see what's going on, and get the latest news for my channel there. You can also make sure... Why is my bot not working? Boo. Hold on. He's talking about new gates and some gates being destroyed and even possibly new stations. Yep. It could be spooky. I mean, I would not be surprised if certain empires became islands to each other. You know, there's been years ago there was a big blockade between the Caldari and the Gallente, but it didn't actually have any impact in game. I expect that they would love to see being able to do stuff like that for realsy. And these are probably going to be temporary situations, but it's just, I'm just letting you guys know, like, be ready for the universe to become significantly more dynamic than it used to be. Hold on. Where's my bot? Where's my bot? Hold on. Back to dashboard. There it is. Turn it off, turn it on. What dynamic mean? In other words, things can change, right? Like right now, every Stargate, you know, is kind of where they are. Every belt is where they are. A lot of, you know, today there's the number of jumps between Dodixie and Jita is the same today as it was yesterday, and you can pretty much be agreed that tomorrow is going to be the same. You know, they did kind of make some interesting threats against Jita itself, but you know, who the hell knows, right? I'm just saying, like, now more than ever, it's time to be paying attention to the news, because if you don't, you'll get caught out, right? Why did I do exclamation point Jita? That's so dumb. All right, let's try that. Does it work? All right, well, whatever. Go ahead and join. There should be links down below. You know, join the Discord. Also, make sure to use the buddy code if you haven't already to get your 1,000,000 free skill points. Blah, blah, blah. This is very interesting to us. And of course, with the presidential election coming, we're going to be keeping very tight tabs on that, as well as all of this other stuff as we lead towards, because remember, the presidential election basically leads directly up to FanFest, which leads directly to the summer expansion with military campaigns. So a lot to pay attention to, a lot to focus on, and a lot to get ready for. So if you're watching live, hang tight. If you're watching this after the fact, and you know, the New Eden news, then thank you guys for coming. Like, comment, subscribe. I've been Ashtarothi. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to put Eve into context for you, my fellow Empyreans. Thank you so much, especially my Immortal tier supporters, 745 MPSI, Arydanika the Queen, Bad Boy Smooth, Ebo Leet, Erladis, Elange, Flash Gordon, Grims, May, Malak, Starfire, Malin, Mercuton, Mike, Michael, Neelam, LM1, Sheesh, Susuro, Thrans, and Rid. Thank you guys so much, and thank you all for watching. If you want to, please consider, like I said, subscribe to the channel. That helps a lot. Like the channel, like this video. That helps a ton. But if you can, consider becoming a member or a patron, because that's what lets this channel exist, to help out players know more about EVE Online, because I believe that a better player base, more informed player base, makes a better EVE Online. So again, if you're watching live, hang tight. Otherwise, until next time, I've been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and I'll see you in space. Okay. Sorry, this is so... I felt like I was very unready for today, but there's a lot to cover. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to talk about. Is there anything else I'm missing here? I think this is fine. Let's go ahead and just close this. I see Malak in space. There's the fleet. I probably missed it. Yep. Let us fleet up. Oh wait, no, he can't invite me. He's already in a fleet because he made a fleet. Go ahead and invite me again, Malak. Thank you. Invite you to a duel. Excellent. You are in a Mollis. So we're going to kill this guy and see if it does anything to the skin. This is my sneaky way to get points for the PvP event. Is that even still happening? I don't think it is. Ready? Nope, it's just a skin. That's actually kind of disappointing. It's kind of disappointing. Oh well. There we go. Now we know. Well, you still get the Malediction skin for free. I assume that the rest of them are the same way, right? Because, so the reason why I assume that is because if we go to the Macarial, rest in peace, yes, it's fine. He'll be fine. Hashtag already replaced. So if we go with the Unbridled Glory skin, we can see that there's nothing really happening here. But if we go to the Red Stargazer skin, yeah, you can see the little triangles coming off the back. They're very low because basically that particle effect changes based on how fast you're going. And so this is like the you're going 0 speed effect, I'm pretty sure. So we can see that if there was a particle effect on this thing, we would have been able to see it. Now the Imperial Outlaw one doesn't have that because it requires you to actually get a kill in it in order to be able to trigger the particle effect. But this one, at least this part of the particle effect, the trail one, is not going on in this one. We can sit here and kind of watch it for a few seconds. What happened? Am I being killed too? No. Oh, I guess that was my weapons timer. Yeah, there's no effects coming off of this thing. So it does not appear like they put any special particle effects on the ship. They also didn't say anything in the blog. So, yep, just a normal, pretty ship. Oh. Why can't I look at you? Hold on. There you are. Oh! We warped to each other! All right, fair is fair. I'll let him kill my malediction. Oh, I warped to him too quick. Hold on.
Warp drive active.
Go for it. You're on camera. Yeah, you can see the particle effect. Go faster when it's moving. So this is the old one. This is not this one. This was the year of the rabbit. Are you gonna kill me? You're just gonna run around. I mean, either way's good. What is that? Why are there little... This one, yeah, see, this is a hologram. This one was so much better. What? Oh, that's the kill mark fireworks going off? Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm kind of disappointed in this skin, in the new skin. I do like the fact that they gave it to us, you know, give us the malediction for free, but I mean, it is whatever. Should I go get a bigger ship for you to kill for more fireworks? Not needed. Okay, fine. Anybody else want to see fireworks? Actually, speaking of which, that is one last thing that we do need to do today before we totally wrap things up, because there is those new fireworks. So let's go look at what they do.
Warp drive active. Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
I do have in my Discord, Ari asks, aren't the Thucker one of the ones that have those Super Titans? Actually, the Thucker have the city ship that has not actually been seen or addressed. Let's see. Oh, yeah. We're going to... I click on my item hanger and it causes everything to lock up for a little bit. Let's see. Festival. No? I'm sure I have like a festival launcher in a box or something, but whatever, this is easier. Fit to active ship. And then today's fireworks was called what? Is it Stargazer Lantern? Which one was today's? Let me go double check. Never mind. I think there is no new one today. Great. Awesome. The event is tariffs on all sales in game. Oof. No, shoot. Okay. Does anybody know what firework was given out today? It isn't new. Just says festive firework. That's not helpful. It's one of these. Not Yule's Ascent, not Yule's Spiral, not Snow. It must be Stargazer Lantern, which is the same from last year. Or the Rabbit Year one, isn't it? Man, I'm telling you. Look, I know people like to say that I white knight for CCP, but I'm just going to say, I'm going to give this year's lunar holiday event a solid 4 out of 10. Like, thanks for the skin, but it almost feels like they forgot. What I do? Oh, here it is. Golly. 4 out of 10 is high praise. I mean, that's fair. I don't know. It's better than forgetting it, I suppose. Scarlet Embrace? Was it Scarlet Embrace? I don't think that's right. That sounds like a Crimson Harvest thing. Is that right? No, because I would have had it in my base hanger because I just opened my box in here. So it can't be the... It's got to be Stargazer. Yeah, so Minky confirms it's got to be Stargazer. So let's go ahead and fire this off on this freighter. Is it going to hit? There it is. It's like a ball. Here's a Pioneer. We'll shoot at him. It's the only firework you have at Heck when you open mine. I don't know, man. I think this is it. Yeah, I mean that even looks like a Chinese New Year, like a lantern or something. So that's probably it. He's immortal! Alright. Oh, he undocked. Or he docked again. Will we get to see the fireworks when he undocks? Yeah. I'm getting closer so I can see it as soon as you undock. Because basically the way it works is it like fires off the fireworks. Yeah, you can see it. Ah! Oh, do you see that giant, like, yeah, all those little sparks? That was his fireworks for undocking. Tell you what, actually, try it one more time. Let me get the tactical camera, like, basically right at the undock. Again, I feel kind of bad that we're showing off, like, the better fireworks, or the better, rather the better version that isn't this year, but whatever, man. I can't stress enough that this is not this year's setup, so don't be like, oh my god, I'm going to pay $88. I was actually going to be pretty... Where is it? There it goes. And those fireworks are based on all of the kills that he's gotten with this ship. So the more kills and the bigger the kills, the more fireworks are there. And also when he kills somebody, there's new fireworks that shoot out. So this is what we could have gotten. This is what we could have gotten, but instead we got just a normal skin. All right. That should about do that. That's about it for the news for the day. Now, we were going to do like anomalies and stuff this week. I am prepared to do some of that today, but we're also almost at 2 hours. Hold on. That is 4 kills, but like what... Isn't the size of the ship that you kill also important? Because like somebody killed a frigate and it was like one little tiny firework and they're like, this is dumb! I could just throw away a battleship if you want to kill that. Not this one, though. Or this one. Alright. Wheel. I think... I'm trying to think, because like I had a lot man, today has been so... I've had no grip on today. I'm glad I was able to stream and cover all this stuff, though. But I feel a bit discombobulated. Let me just double check to make sure there's nothing else that I wanted to talk about today. Winterco just surrendered to Initiative, which is interesting. We did finally see that Keep Star get blown up in Atioth, which was in the news. And overall, very few people are talking about the new AI. I assume that the reason why so few people are talking about the AI is because of the fact that it's like the only people that are seeing it are either brand new or like have gone out of their way to go see it. So we're not actually seeing a huge reaction from people that are playing with it. The only reaction that we really saw was people kind of just reacting to the idea that they're adding an AI chatbot into the game without actually playing around with it. We did play around with it yesterday, and I thought it was pretty hilarious. If you've missed that episode, you should probably go back and watch it. I kind of want to go back through there and pull out some highlights because there's some really good ones in there. But I guess the big question is, the question that I kind of want to contemplate about for as we close up today is, there's obviously the presidential election, but does anybody have any guess or ideas or thoughts about what the final Eve Evolved is going to be, right? We had 3 Eve Evolved, or they said that there's going to be 3. The first one was... Uh-oh. Hold on. See, I'm totally discombobulated today. The first one was... What was the first one? Neocom colors, right. So there's the Neocom colors and the redo of the Neocom, which apparently has pissed off some people who do bots. Actually, you know what? I gotta put this guy on blast. This is ridiculous. If we go to the forums, hold on, where is it? Where is the post? Another voice acted MPE? So I think Malak and I have been talking about this a lot, and I think we both are in agreement. So like Eve Evolved is more technical stuff. It's not going to be content or ships or balance or any of that kind of stuff. That's not what that's for. That's what next month's major update is for. What Eve Evolved is for is more technical, the engine, et cetera, et cetera. So, oh man, Malak had a good prediction yesterday, and now I can't think of it because I can't think of anything right now. But where is it? Oh, just a reminder, compare tool is still broken and shit. They need to fix that. Dynamic lights on more ships. Yes, I want to see better lighting and effects added to battleships specifically. They did talk about efficiencies for the super carriers and the extra effects that they brought on the super carriers. So yeah, Malak and I believe that we're going to get new lighting and effects on more ships, not just frigates and some cruisers. We have several cruisers that haven't gotten touched up on. And we also have, battleships and battle cruisers, which could be fun to add more visual effects to. We are not getting Talking in Stations 2.0 next week, okay? If Wildcard, first of all, oh no, once again, Wildcard is one of those guys that, recently you came up in my mind and you're a good dude. Shit. What was it? Either way, I can't think of anything right now. My brain is just fried. But if we get Walking in Stations next year, Talking in Stations 2.0. Talking in Stations? I was actually just on the Talking in Stations Discord checking things out yesterday. I miss Talking in Stations. Wildcard, if Walking in Stations 2.0 comes out next week, I will give you 500 plex. New station visuals could be that's one that we know that they've been working on, and they could roll out more too. Damn it, where's that post? Malak, send me the... Here we go. Found it. Found it. I found it. Okay, so Neocom updates. There were lots of people complaining about this, but there's this one guy that I can't help but call out, okay? Because this guy comes in here and complains that... Where is he? Where's the initial one? Where's the original? Either way, you do realize that the background of the icons... Malak! Not my alt... No. Malak, you do realize that the background of the icons is pitch black, the background outside, many pixels, blah, blah, blah. So he's complaining... They're complaining that the live version is slightly different colored. It doesn't look like much, but the different on a live setup, if you don't have the picture zoomed in to your face, blah, blah, blah... Dark and gray there is just not enough light coming through the icons to be comfortably visible. So the impact of gray versus white is on the very border of making it unplayable. And they show off like, okay, so this is the old version and this is the new version. You can see that it's a little bit dimmer, right? Now, first of all, you might immediately jump to the fact, wait, didn't they just make it so you can set it to being a different color anyways? So you can make it more visible, and like you can give it a color that stands out more? Yes, they absolutely did that. But even if we want to accept this framework, right? This idea of making it almost unplayable is crazy to me. This is not how icon brightness works. No, blah, 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 blah. This back and forth. Malak tries to show off that it actually is influenced by the background. And then, like, it's funny because when this first came up, my initial response is, you know, I didn't want to make this accusation outright, but my first response as a software developer was, you know who's worried about the exact pixel, like, perfect coloration or location of elements of a UI? People who build bots. That was the first thing that jumped in my head, because I was a software developer for a while. You know, my buddy who sat next to me did testing environments for the software that I was coding, and like if I moved a button by a pixel, it could fuck up all of his tests. So like I know that these are the kind of things that like those sorts of tools work with, right? And so like who really would notice these differences? Apparently somebody did in my chat, but like, who would see it so breaking, saying that this breaks the game? So I kind of mentioned this, and we go back and forth about it, and whatever. And then he comes out and just says it. The background does not matter for the objective brightness, blah, blah, blah. There's no way to fix this in Eve options. Why does this matter? Because it makes the icons harder to see and recognize. Maybe not for you who can see the difference in a sharp decline. Oh, no, this isn't it. Hold on. Where does it say it? Where does he say it? Yeah, and it would create a whole lot of other issues in all kinds of completely unrelated applications. And that's when I had already said this to Malak, which is why he pops back with this. It's like, oh, you mean botting programs? And he goes, why would botting programs care? What are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to take it back to you, man. A guy who's complaining on the forums about slight changes to the icons. What unrelated program gives any care whatsoever about the color of the icons in EVE Online? What unrelated program, not a bot, what unrelated program cares so much about the exact coloration of the icons in EVE Online that it would break if it got changed without notification? Like, I accept that it's a change. It could have been an intentional change. But the idea that you're going to hide behind unrelated programs that fail or have a problem with the change in color is absolute. Give me one. Give me one. I just want to know what unrelated program has a completely unrelated application has any engagement with the icons of why is your system so vulnerable that an unrelated program making a visual change to how things are displayed will break your stuff. That is crazy. That is a crazy claim to me. People use their PC for other things than just Eve. Yeah, great, good. So then this shouldn't affect it at all. What are you even talking about, dude? Like, come on, man. Come on. The only thing I can think of is something that's actually trying to read off the screen. And that would be against the rules. So, I don't know, man. I'm sorry. It made me want to go look to see whether or not, like, any of the nullsec blocks, like, they're, like, automated, like, local tools were broken or something. Because I want to know what has made this guy so mad. It's so funny. Yeah, I mean, it is true that there's not a lot of granularity when it comes to sound. That user has a major stick up his bum about any UI changes. You know who's got a major stick up their bum about any UI changes? somebody who relies on the UI in order to make their bots work. That's all I'm going to say. That's all. I don't care. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I'm just going to call you out. So dumb. So dumb. I mean, I do think that the color changing thing is kind of like whatever of a change. I low-key, like, here's a hot take. I actually don't really like the old Neocom buttons. They were muddy and, you know, unintelligible for the most part. But this is a wild complaint. Way to out yourself. All right, well, I think that's about it. I think that's all I can do today. We'll do more probably tomorrow. So the idea that I'm going to have is I want to do a stream where I roam around HiSec with my Stormbringer and go blow up dens and other sites. I actually, I have my Stormbringer here. I've got my awesome skin, the 90s splatter skin from Punch. For the record, I do want the Neocom to be brighter. I mean, it's fair. It's fair. I would say that icon colors would be better, or more icon colors would be better. But also, like, actually, hold on. Let me find out. Let me try something real quick. Because if we go light mode, transparency, and transparency, I wonder if, like, turning down the transparencies, that makes it even darker. Interesting, I think. Hold on. Let's go ahead and turn up the transparencies then. That makes them brighter, but also harder to read because it's muddier, because it's transparent, of course. But that does mean that it's being influenced by this. So I could theoretically... Can I turn this to light mode? So now I can swap between them, right? Enable light... Yeah, okay. That doesn't quite fix the problem. And I do... Okay, I will say, good point. It being dimmer isn't great. It'd probably be better for it to be brighter. I wonder... Hold on. Hold on. Wait a minute. No. Yes? No. These differences are so small that it's hard to even, like, compare without doing, like, pixel checks. Agree the icons are dimmer? Okay, well, I'm just saying the claim that it impacts... the claim that it impacts unrelated programs is the thing that I find absolutely wild. It is... That's interesting, because there were... Oh, that was the colorblind mode. They do get brighter when you hover over them. I mean, sure, they could get brighter. It's interesting that these are still bright. Can we go light mode transparency, turn it all the way off, and then turn this to light mode? That does no difference whatsoever. Okay, well. Oh yeah, also the transparency is going to be more when it's not selected. Okay, I just realized I can't bring myself to care much about this too much more. But yeah, the icons are dimmer. That's absolutely true. I don't know if it necessarily breaks anything. It would probably be good for you to be able to turn up the brightness of it. Yeah, it didn't work either. All right, well, that's fun. But I think that might be... I think that's all I have for today. Oh yeah, we'll just... what I'm going to do tomorrow, what we'll do tomorrow is I have this Stormbringer. I want to take this... Hold on, I need to figure out whether or not I can even do this. Because I need... The problem is that with this fit, it no longer works, or like it can't fit the probe launcher that I want. So we're going to see that. Nope, that still doesn't work. So I'm actually going to... I could like change something else, but I think I just need a 2%. So if I get myself a 603 rather, and I need CPU. So CPU management 603, 25 million. I could get this with a LP, but whatever. I don't care. I have money. It's fine. If I plug in this, which my clone should be blank right now. Yes. Yep, now it fits. So I can do this, and then I can go Sister's Core Probe Launcher. Hell yeah! Why do I have normal probes? Ew, gross. Yes, clearly I mean my probe drone launcher. Absolutely. Oh, interesting. I can't purchase more than 8 at a time. It used to be that it would try to do that and then it would like put up a buy order, I thought. But either way, we'll buy 8 at a time. For a total of 16. And then we can drop those in here. So tomorrow I'm going to take this baby out. And we are going to check out HiSec and see if we can find any cool sites, any good escalations, any good loot, just to see how that stuff goes. You know, it's an alternative way of playing HiSec. I did get some trouble. Somebody was complaining, it's like, why would you show somebody such an inefficient way of doing exploration by doing the road drone thing? First of all, I thought it was pretty cool to go to drone lands that way and get there consistently. But also, like, this isn't all, like, who cares? It's about doing fun things, guys. Like, that's what this is all about. So tomorrow, we're going to see what kind of fun we can get into in this in HiSec. There's a lot of explosions. It'll be a good time. Maybe you'll want to get a Stormbringer afterwards, but we'll have to see. You'll have to wait and come back tomorrow. I think tomorrow. Should be tomorrow. God, I hate it. The reason why I get so... oh, decanted stream. Ooh. That's true. I do owe you guys a decanted stream. Well, I will say this. I'm not going to say for sure what the decanted stream is. That's going to be tonight or tomorrow or something. But I do... While I have been doing a lot of recording of the end field, it has been brought to my attention that I've kind of neglected my Star Wars character. So either today or tomorrow, I should be also doing a Decanted stream on the Decanted channel with more of the Star Wars The Old Republic with the Imperial Agent storyline. We'll get back into that. So all that's happening. There's a link below to my Decanted channel where I post videos and video, like anything that's not Eve related. So videos of my dog, videos of other games, etc., all goes there. And there's also a Decanted channel in my Discord where I also post the pictures of the dog. Yeah, drone land data sites is not something many people experience, and I think it's a fun, it's just a fun way to do things. I mean, like EVE Online is about, you know, doing what you want to do. Like, I don't care about doing the most efficient thing. Most efficient thing is often boring, and also often being done by a lot of other people. So we're here about maximizing player engagement, not maximizing players' ISK per hour. What was it? Hold on. Now, what? Yeah. If only they represented the drone tribes better than the can loot. Man, I will say that, like, there was some requests to do rogue drone lore, and I am interested in diving into that. But it's extensive because rogue drones are the first, you know, big bad end guy that CCP introduced. And also, like, they are kind of like the Trig in the fact that they're extremely opaque. We have some ideas about certain rogue drone hives, but, like, we know that they're not all the same. So it's like, oh, well, for instance, are the rogue drones that are attacking the Gallente, are they normal rogue drones? Are they other aligned rogue drones? Are they Triglavian aligned rogue drones? Who the fuck knows? We have no way of telling per se unless CCP, like, tells us. We only know a few times in few places where different rogue drones are under certain swarm heads. But overall, it's like it's a whole species. So they have their own factions, they have their own subgroups and whatnot. So it's definitely a hard thing to nail down, but I will try to get, like, a full presentation together. I did do a presentation about the rogue drones in relationship to the Trig a few years back, but then I realized that, like, I must have not made it clear because I was going to edit it out and then I never did. So I probably owe you guys at least that, a review of the DAV rogue drone files and why I think the drones are the reason why the Trig managed to escape the Abyss. But all of this is for next time or later. I've been Ashtarothi. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to put even into context for you, my fellow Imperians. Thank you guys so much for coming, checking it out, hanging out, liking, commenting, subscribing, you know, all that sort of stuff. Please join the Discord so that way you can get involved in the conversation and see when all my videos go live and etc. And also, if you become a member, you can, or a patron, you can get access to the supporter channel. And then, is my bot still just not working? Okay, whatever, cool. Links are down below. Also, if you're new or you've never used a buddy code, you can use the buddy code down below. There's a link that will give you a free 1,000,000 skill points, and it helps somebody who helps out the channel. It basically randomly distributes it to one of the people that make the Convocation of Empyreans work, which, by the way, the Convocation of Empyreans is recruiting. We are here to maximize player engagement with EVE Online. We have a high-sec group, but we do things all over the place, including, and we are extremely interested in participating in the upcoming election, if that's possible, but also whatever's going on with these military campaigns, etc., etc. We are looking for more people. It'd be great to have you here. Just come on in. You don't even have to join the Alliance. Just come in, hang out on Discord with us. I'm in voice most days. We'd love to hear from you. But all that said, I've been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden. And until next time, I'll see you in space. Even if that space is Star Wars, not quite sure.